What's crack-a-lackin'? Welcome in to My Mind is a Weapon Fantasy Football Show.
Welcome into another episode of My Mind is a Weapon podcast. I am your host, Sleazebomb. Today, we are going to be covering our start, sit-em, all wide receivers, all matchups for week one. But before we dive into it, guys, we got to talk about 5,000 subscribers on YouTube. I cannot believe it. Milestone was hit. When I started this journey a year and a half ago, I did not even think we'd be at this point. I put my heart and soul into all of this to help you guys dominate your fantasy football leagues. I cannot thank you guys enough for all the support. Now, we're going to be looking at 3 wide receivers from each team, possibly 4. I'll talk about some deep guys on some teams that I think could have some run down the stretch here in fantasy football. Before we dive into it, guys, as always, make sure you tap that thumbs up, hit that subscription button. All the support's appreciated. I'll be bringing you fantasy football content all year long to help you dominate your leagues. Now, pinned in the comments will be our premium Discord, the Guys FF. Me and my partner, Big Draft Energy, we bring you everything in fantasy football you need. Live trade talk, Dynasty Rankings, every single player value per trade pick if you need to make trades, pick'em locks, DFS plays, redraft, top 200 if you need for your draft still. One-on-ones with us, best ball BDEs, best ball draft guide from Big Draft Energy, roster reviews, and a chance to draft with you. And then we got to shout out our sponsor, drafters.com. If you don't know what Drafters Fantasy Sports is, it is a best ball draft site with pick'ems, DFS, everything like that. If you haven't signed up on Drafters, make sure you use promo code SLEAZE. It will match your deposit up to $100. And let's take a look at my wide receiver stardom sit-ems for week one, guys. Football is almost here, baby. So if you guys are new to the channel, this is my stardom sit-em board. Away team at the tops, home team at the bottoms, green, yellow, red. Yellow being pretty much a flex play option if you need. I'm kind of teeter on the fence, and I'll break that down as we go through it here. We are going to start off with Thursday night football that is almost here, baby. The Cowboys are headed to the Eagles, and they just traded away Micah Parsons yesterday, which was absolutely bonkers. This game is 46.5 over under. Philly is favored by 6.5. I feel like that line's going to go up. If you were a betting man, I'd take it early right now as well. Now, when I'm looking at the Cowboys side here, of course, CeeDee Lamb is going to be a start. George Pickens and Jalen Tolbert, the wide receiver 3 they have out there. Possible Kevontae Turpin will splash play at wide receiver 3 for them as well. Pickens, I'm going to put on a flex if you need. I do think the Cowboys are going to be pass heavy this whole year long. And I mean, especially with their defense, even losing Micah Parsons, like I just said. But this matchup, man, you're getting the 2 possibly best corners in the NFL with Quinyon Mitchell, Cooper DeJean. It's going to be a nightmare out there. And Dak Prescott's going to be under a lot of duress with this Philly front. I do think the Eagles are going to control the clock here, but I do think the Cowboys are going to pass. Obviously, if you drafted CeeDee Lamb in the first round, you're starting him. Pickens, people are high on. I'd temper your expectations week one with him. You can flex him if you need, if you have a better option. There's a couple players I'd go over him. If you have any, answer in the questions in the comments, I'll answer that for you. Now, on the Eagles side, A.J. Brown, Devonta Smith, and Jahan Dotson is their wide receiver 3. A.J. Brown, obviously first-round talent. If you took him, you're going to be starting him. Devonta Smith is kind of like the same thing with Pickens here for me in week one. He's kind of a boom-bust player for me over the past couple of years. He's been hampered by injuries here and there. But you got to look at a game here with, the Eagles probably controlling the clock with Saquon Barkley. If he doesn't score early, it could be bad for Devonta Smith. So I have him as a flex play if you need. And you could, if you have better options, you could find one there as well. Jahan Dotson, I am not starting at all, obviously. As we head on down to Sao Paulo, Brazil, Friday football. Gotta love that you get Thursday and Friday football this year. It is going to be the Chiefs taking on the Chargers. Not really a home game here for the Chargers, obviously, because you're in Brazil. You gotta hope that field is better than last year. Week one, it almost ended Jordan Love's season before it started. The field was absolutely terrible. I hope it is fixed this year. Now, when I'm looking at the Chiefs side here, obviously Xavier Worthy with Rashee Rice, that is obviously going to have a 6-game suspension, so he'll be back week 7. Xavier Worthy's got to be a start until he comes back the whole way, right? I mean, this is going to be an electric Patrick Mahomes offense. They've alluded to using the deep ball more, and I think you're going to have these division games, they're going to have to gadget play to get Xavier Worthy. The Chargers defense, this is one of those division games. This is going to be a grunge battle here. And I'm not going to be starting Hollywood Brown as well. I could have put Juju Smith-Schuster out there, but I don't think he's going to be a relevant redraft start here. Onto the Chargers side, Lab McConkey is always going to be a start. The reception machine. He is going to feed across the middle where the Chiefs were weak all last year, and they didn't really do much to upgrade it. They also brought in Keenan Allen, the savvy vet that has connection with Justin Herbert. He could be a really, really nice, flex play if you're in deeper leagues, like a 12-man double flex league, because he's just a space eater and target getter, man. He's going to get enough to be a flex play for you weekly at this point, and I really, really like him as one of your veteran pickups if you haven't done your fantasy football drafts yet. For the wide receiver 3 with Trey Harris and Quentin Johnston getting that concussion in the preseason, they're more kind of best ball hitters for me right now, especially with McConkey and Keenan Allen, who are going to eat it all up here. The over-under here is 46.5, and the Chiefs are favored by 3.5. I think this is going to be a nail-biter game, and I really only like McConkey and Xavier Worthy as starts in this game. Down to Mercedes-Benz Stadium, we go for a division matchup with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers coming into the Atlanta Falcons with Michael Penix getting his first start of his kind of career at the opening season game here. And when I'm looking at the Bucs here, this game is 47.5 over under, another division matchup. 2.5 Tampa Bay is favored by. Now, the Bucs have a lot of guys beat up, right? You have Chris Godwin, who might be out till week 6. Jalen McMillan took that nasty hit. They're saying week 10. I don't think he's even going to play at all this season, if any. When you're looking at Mike Evans and Emeka Egbuka, these guys are going to be smash starts here 100% in this game. Just because of the injuries, man. Emeka Egbuka has been a highlight. I know everyone's super pumped up on, how much he's going to thrive right away. This is a rookie that hasn't really stepped on the field. You haven't seen any NFL stuff yet, and they're like priming him as LeBron. I still love the start, but I think we got to temper our expectations a little bit with him, and we'll see how it goes in week 1. But especially with all the injuries happening right now, you have to love both the starts for the Bucs here. Down to the Falcons side here, Drake London, man. This is my dark horse wide receiver 1 on the season. If you saw the numbers with Michael Penix, he was targeted the most down the stretch last year. Obviously, the 3-game stretch was very, very easy in a small sample size last year with the matchups they played against. Darnell Mooney's been banged up, but he should be back out there. And Raven McLeod is the wide receiver 3. Now, Darnell Mooney, another guy that you could flex if you need. I don't really love the start. I don't really hate the start. It's kind of that 50-50 play for me. And Raven McLeod, more of a best ball guy there. But in this game, you have to love Drake London, Mike Evans, and Emeka Egbuka 100%. Headed down to Cleveland, Ohio, where the Browns will be hosting the Cincinnati Bengals, and we're hoping that the Bengals don't get off to a slow start like they always have. Now, this game is 47.5 over under. Cleveland is favored by 5.5, but what you have to look at here that you have to know in fantasy football this year is the Bengals defense is going to be very bad. We'll get to that in a minute here, though. Whenever you have Jamar Chase and T. Higgins, this offense is going to have to score 30-plus points a game to win all year long. These guys are going to be probably starts for me every single game that they're healthy all year out there because I have Joe Burrow's passing yards floor at 5,000 yards if he stays healthy. Now, Andre Losavas, obviously the wide receiver 3, not going to be much of a start there. Don't love that play at all. Too much there with him as my headset stuck. Jermaine Burton could be moving up as the wide receiver 4 into that spot here. Hopefully, he gets a little transition better than last year. On the Browns side here, guys, this is going to be interesting because remember, they might have Trey Hendrickson out there. He's not signed yet. They got Shamar Stewart, and that's their D-line. Their secondary is going to be very, very bad. Jerry Jeudy is one of my favorite plays this year across the board, or this week in fantasy football. DFS, everything. I'll get to that, in our DFS videos and our live shows. But Jerry Jeudy is going to feast in this game. Cedric Tillman could be a surprise flex play if you need. I mean, again, they're going to be playing from behind probably 90% of the year. You're going to be pass heavy. Joe Flacco named the quarterback, which, we don't know how long that's going to last with a 41-year-old in their season, isn't really going anywhere. But volume is king, and this is what I've been saying all year, kind of with the Saints and with the Browns. They're going to be playing from behind almost all year, so the pass heavy is going to be there. Even in garbage time, it counts in fantasy football. I love Jerry Jeudy this week. Isaiah Bond, I'm going to put as the wide receiver 3. Could it be Jamari Thrash? They dropped Deontay Johnson. I think he's pretty much done. And Isaiah Bond would have been a first, second round talent in the draft if he didn't have the charges against him during the draft. So he's an interesting guy to keep your eye on down the stretch here as the season goes on. But Jerry Jeudy, T. Higgins, Jamar Chase, obvious starts in this game for me. Down to Lucas Oil Stadium we go, where the Colts will be hosting the Miami Dolphins. And this is one of the games I really, really love for fantasy football purposes here. When we're looking at the Miami Dolphins wide receiver room here, of course, Tyreek Hill back week 1. He's always going to be a start when he's out there. Same with Jalen Waddle. Kind of like a situation in Cincinnati where you're going to have, Jamar Chase and T. Higgins. These guys are always going to be starts for me when they're out there. Malik Washington, the wide receiver 3, we don't need to talk about much here. Now, the game, 46.5 over under. Indy is favored by 1.5, which is crazy. I'm taking the Dolphins in this game. Now, on the Colts side, you guys are going to think I'm crazy here, but this is what you have to pay attention to. And people will tell me that Michael Pittman is the wide receiver 1. I just do not believe it. In games where Josh Downs is healthy, he averages 15.8 points per game, 28% target rate, and he averages 19.7 per reception for route run on percentage. So now you have Danny Dimes, and you have to look back at what he did with Wan'Dale Robinson in that target system that he gave the little slot man that they use as a gadget guy. Josh Downs is going to be the wide receiver 1 for me for the Colts when healthy this year. I am putting Michael Pittman on a sit this week. I know it sounds crazy. I just do not like it. And I think Adonai Mitchell is someone you really need to keep your eye on. I've been talking about this guy for years. He is a special talent, one of the highest RAS scores coming out of college in history out of Texas. He just needs the opportunity, and he's going to flash. In this game, obviously, Tyreek Hill, Waddle starts, and Josh Downs is going to be one of my sneaky starts this week that I really, really like a lot. We head out to Foxborough, where the Patriots will be hosting the Raiders, and everyone knows how much these West Coast teams struggle in early East Coast team games here. Now, the Patriots, the only wide receiver, they've got a lot going on here in this wide receiver room, right? You've got Kyle Williams, they drafted. Pop Douglas last year kind of emerged for a little bit, and Efton Chisholm has been the darling of the preseason. And the matchup is going to be great here versus the Raiders. I just am not going to trust this situation on how it's going to play out for the Patriots right away. I am going to trust their number 1 target. That was a wide receiver, 8 overall, that's proven it last year until he got injured, and that's going to be Stephon Diggs. He's going to be the only guy I trust in the first start of the season here because I need to see how it plays out with this wide receiver room. And Stephon Diggs is going to be a start for me that I think is going to gobble up so many targets this year. He's undervalued in drafts. On to the Raiders side, this is sketch for me all the way around. So again, West Coast teams do struggle in East Coast games early. Jacoby Myers requests a trade. You can flex him if you need. Maybe they try and showcase him for the trade in this week and they funnel a bunch of passes to him. Amari Cooper signed. He looked washed off the Bills last year. Could he have a little juice left? I'm not trusting that. And then they got the 2 rookies in Jack Beck and Dante Thornton, who are guys you need to keep your eye on, but not people you're ever going to feel comfortable starting a redraft at the moment. So when I'm looking at this game, the over-under 42.5, New England's favored by 2.5. That's a very low-scoring over-under on the week, which tells you that a lot of fantasy points are going to fly. I think it's done more in the run game here between both teams with Genty, Travion, and Henderson. And I'm going to have Stephon Diggs as my only smash start here, and I like Jacoby Myers as a flex if you need it, but it's very, very sketch with the situation that's going on. To the Superdome we go, where the New Orleans Saints will be hosting the Arizona Cardinals, and talk about a get-right game for the Cardinals if there ever was one here. And I haven't been one of those guys that has been truly crazy on this Marvin Harrison Jr. breakout preseason talk. We heard the same thing last year with Kyler Murray, and how did that work out? He was one of the worst first-round picks last year. I am going to put him as a start in week 1 here. Of course, this matchup is beautiful. The Saints are really going to struggle on offense this year, and I think teams are going to eat him alive. But it could also become a James Conner show as well. So I am going to put Marvin Harrison as a start. But for me, man, I need to start to see it early here. This is a game where Marvin should pop. And if he doesn't right here, I'm already going to be worried. Like we're looking at a 2024 again with Marvin Harrison Jr. here. On to the Saints side, and this is something I've been trying to convey to people all year long, right? And Michael Wilson and Zay Jones, I'm not starting either one of them in redraft. Now, Chris Olave, well, I've been telling you he's the steal of fantasy football all year at value. Now you have Kellen Moore in. You saw his usage in the slot in the preseason. He is going to feast. The Saints are going to play 90% from behind. Yes, the quarterback play with Shuck and Rattler named the starter. That could be back and forth all year, could be very ugly. But volume is king. Garbage points count. And the Saints are going to be pass heavy all year long. They're not going to be running with Kamara with their offense on. They're not going to be leading games, pounding out the clock. This is going to be like Rashid Shaheed is even a nice flex play as well. And he was balling last year until injury. He was almost 20 points a game to start off. Now, that's obviously, different quarterback play. And Brandon Cooks, the wide receiver 3, I'm not touching. But this is something you need to pay attention to weekly in fantasy football is the Saints volume that they're going to put into the pass game. I love Chris Olave as a start. Rashid Shaheed is a possible flex play. And MHJ, I'm going to ride the start here for 1 week, and we're going to see how it goes next week. Oh, man. To MetLife Stadium we go, where the New York Jets are going to be hosting the Pittsburgh Steelers. And again, this is one of the grunge games for me on the week that I really don't love at all for fantasy purposes. But for the wide receivers here, it's going to be the same kind of story that we're going to break down here. So 38.5 is the over-under. Very, very low scoring. Pittsburgh favored by 2.5, right? Ugly, ugly scoring game. They don't think fantasy points are going to fly in Vegas. Neither do I, right? So when we're looking at the Steelers here, DK Metcalf, Roman Wilson, Calvin Austin is their wide receiver, the three wide receivers. Now, why the situation is kind of the same for both teams here, I'm going to put them both up. We'll do them both here. So for the Jets, Garrett Wilson, Josh Reynolds, Allen Lazard, right? When you look at these wide receiver cores, right, who is their focal point going to be? You can tell right away that it's going to be DK Metcalf and it's going to be Garrett Wilson. Even if the matchups are ugly, you still have to love the volume. You know Aaron Rodgers funnels it to his wide receiver one. You know Garrett Wilson had Justin Fields at Ohio State. Their connection was absolutely great. Their actual deep bomb connection at Ohio State was even better. They had 20-plus catches of 20-plus yards in one season together. Now, tight ends, you obviously have, the Arthur Smith system in Pittsburgh. Who knows how it's going to go between Pat Freiermuth and Jonnu Smith. And then you got Mason Taylor, the rookie out there for the Jets. That could be their second option. Do I think it's going to be Josh Reynolds or Lazard? No, I don't. So both these guys, just based on all year long, unless they make any, wide receiver moves to update their rooms, these are going to be starts based on pure volume every single week. And you have to love it if you drafted them. Heading down to the Washington Commanders, taking on the New York Giants. And, man, this is one game I really, really want to watch because I really can't wait to see this Giant front get after people, and people do not understand how good this front is going to be. Now, when we're looking at this game here with the Giants, obviously anytime Malik Neighbors is out there healthy, this guy is a smash start, target hog, absolute elite talent. Now, he has had back soreness. They have said that his toe, could have surgery at some point in his career, which could be scary if the Giants fall to contention this year and they say they're like 2-6 and maybe they are 2-8 and they opt to have Malik Neighbors have surgery for next year. Very, very scary situation for him there. But obviously, whenever he's out there healthy, smash start for me. Wan'Dale Robinson, man, this guy was targeted in the top 10 last year in fantasy football as a wide receiver position, and people just fall asleep on it. He can be a flex play weekly, especially with the Giants trailing, kind of like the Saints at like a 90% rate this year. They're going to be pass heavy. Their offensive line is not very good, and they have the number one toughest schedule on the season. So, they're going to be really, really struggle in the run game all year long. So it is going to be a pass heavy attack. And if you need to flex Wan'Dale and say a deeper league, I'm okay with it as well. Darius Slayton, more of a best ball guy for me. Down to the Commanders. Here's my sit that people are going to be like, oh, why are you sitting Terry McLaurin? Well, he's had a holdout till last, 2 days ago. 3 days ago, just got his contract done. When you're 30-plus years old and you haven't been at training camp, you haven't been practicing with the team, your injury rate goes up. They're going to use him slow coming into this game. And Cliff Kingsbury, they went out and they got Deebo Samuel. This guy loves the screen game. That's his offense. This is going to be Deebo Samuel early in the season for me as a start here. I'm going to be sitting Terry McLaurin and Noah Brown, the wide receiver 3. Nothing really to talk about there. Jalen Lane would be someone I'd be keeping my eye on as wide receiver 4 in case injuries happen to the Commanders. So I'm going with Malik Neighbors as a start, Wan'Dale Robinson as a flex if you need, Deebo Samuel as a start, and Terry McLaurin I'm sitting this week. One of my favorite games for fantasy purposes in week 1. We are headed down to Duval County, where the Jacksonville Jaguars will be hosting the Carolina Panthers, and I think points are going to be flying in this game. The over-under is 46.5. I like that to be over. Jacksonville is favored by 2.5. Now, Panthers, they trade away Adam Thielen to the Vikings. Ted McMillan has been dealing with hamstring injuries, but he is going to be a start for me 100%. The 6'5 monster is going to be the red zone threat that they have, and he's going to be very, very nice at Dave Canales' system playing the Mike Evans role. Now, Xavier Legette, Jalen Coker, big boost. Jalen Coker is going to get the slot role. I almost put him at 50-50 flex play here in week 1. I just want to see it happen in week 1 first, but Jalen Coker should not be on your waiver wires. This is someone you should be picking up. Xavier Legette, I don't feel comfortable starting, unless injuries happen with him. Could he have a couple splash plays here and there? Of course. Now, down to Duval County side, BTJ, Travis Hunter, absolute smash starts in this game. The Carolina defense last year, guys, got absolutely thrashed across the board. They were one of the worst in the NFL, period. And what did they do? They just addressed the offense in the offseason. They did not help this defense at all. The Carolina Panthers is going to be a defense you want to attack every single week in fantasy football, and nothing better than to get BTJ and Travis Hunter out there in week 1. They're going to absolutely splash. Liam Cohen, the slot role with Travis Hunter, like Chris Godwin last year, he's going to absolutely feast. And he was never a corner, guys. Just all that nonsense I got at the beginning of the year. We're going to see how that plays out because Travis Hunter's my guy. He's going to smash here. Dami Brown, I'm putting on the bench there. Nothing there. So I'm going Ted McMillan, BTJ, and Travis Hunter must starts in this game. Oh, man, the nightmare starts early for Cam Ward and the Titans as they head into Mile High Stadium to take on Bo Nix and the revamped Denver Broncos that are going to be scary this year. Now, when you look at this matchup, and this is something you have to pay attention to in fantasy football, Calvin Ridley is the darling of the draft that we all love, shot up in ADP, but you get week 1 against Patrick Surtain. I am not touching Calvin Ridley in week 1. Tyler Lockett, Alec Ayamanor, I'm going to call as their wide receiver 3 or wide receiver 2 in emerging. Could it be Chimera DK? Could be him as well. You know, the Titans wide receiver room is kind of a mess right now with how it's going to play out. They're probably going to look to their young guys here down the stretch here. But Calvin Ridley, I'm not starting at all. I know the volume is going to be there in bunches. I just do not like anything versus this Broncos defense. And when you have a rookie number 1 pick overall going into Mile High Stadium, it's going to be a throttled game. And I think Denver rolls them over in this game. And so does the spread, right? So it's 42.5 over under, and they got Denver at plus 7.5 or minus 7.5. So I mean, that tells you right there. Now on the Broncos side here, Cortland Sutton is still going to be a start for me. Marvin Mims, possible flex play. I really don't like Marvin Mims' flex play right away, but I will throw it out there because this guy can splash a home run play at any time. Troy Franklin has won the wide receiver 3 job. Should you pay attention to Pat Bryant as well? You should on your waiver wire, but obviously this is the depth chart they have out right now. Could it change by week 1? It could. I do think Evan Ingram is going to lead them in targets this year, but we'll get to that in my tight end video. So the only real start here that I'm really comfortable with in this game is Cortland Sutton. Week 1 NFC West Division battle. My San Francisco 49ers are headed down to the 12th man in Seattle. And by default here in this game, it is going to be, I believe, Ricky Pearsall is just going to absolutely smash in this game. We don't know about Juan Jennings' calf update yet. We got a report yesterday that he wants a $20 million contract, but we still don't have any report, regarding the calf strain going from grade 1 to grade 4, which is scary because I thought Juan Jennings was going to be the wide receiver 1 this season with Brandon Ayuk on IR, and he's going to be out till week 6 is the update as of right now. So Ricky Pearsall may absolutely explode in week 1 and just never look back in fantasy football. He has to be a smash start. This game is at 44.5 over under, so middle of the pack there. San Francisco favored by 2.5. I hope my Niners give them a spanking here. Now, onto the Seattle side, Jackson Smith and Jigba is going to be a start for me possibly every single week. He has looked like the alpha out there. It is a Clint Kubiak system. It is a run-heavy scheme that he brings, and people got excited over that in the preseason, but you're playing against guys off the practice squad in the preseason. We'll see how that offensive line that's ranked 30th in the NFL for the Seahawks look against a real terror front like Nick Bosa and Mykel Williams. I think they're going to have to pass more than people think in this game. Cooper Kupp, you can throw out there as a flex if you want. I don't have him as a must start if you need that spot to fill in for sure. And Torrey Horton, man, I've been talking about this guy. This is someone you need to keep your eye on because we all know Cooper Kupp's injury status. And if Cooper Kupp goes down, Torrey Horton will become a flex option as you go through weekly, possibly with how the offense is going to look. So in this game, I like Ricky Pearsall and Jay Season as starts. Cooper Kupp and Juan Jennings if he's out there as flex plays if needed. NFC possible championship preview game here. The Detroit Lions are headed into Lambeau Field to take on the Green Bay Packers and newly acquired Micah Parsons. Look out, Detroit, man. This is going to be crazy. 48.5 over under, so they think the points are going to fly in this game, as do I. Green Bay favored by 1.5 as of right now. Those lines could definitely change with the Micah Parsons addition here. On to the Lions side here, and there's a lot to talk about here with the Lions. And we've been getting comments and questions all year long about why I'm lower on the Lions. You got to look at a lot of things here. So Amon-Ra is always going to be a start, right? You paid the first round capital, got to do that. Jamison Williams, I thought his ADP was way too highly fluctuated this year. He's more of a boomer bust best ball guy for me. There's been a lot of, coach speak index saying that he's going to be the focal point of this offense. Dude, there's a lot of mouths to feed here. Isaac Tesla is exploding, and he's the preseason darling, wins the wide receiver 3 job. Still have Sam Laporta, still have Jahmyr Gibbs, so they talk about a usage increase in the passing game to go along with David Montgomery. And you have to look at Ben Johnson is gone. Ben Johnson is now the head coach of Chicago Bears. He was the offensive mastermind behind this. They also lost their center, Frank Ragnow, who is a Hall of Famer, and their right guard, Kevin Zeitler, to the Titans, starting rookies on the offensive line. Now you got Micah Parsons bearing down your freaking neck. I mean, obviously I like Amon-Ra here and J-Mo if you need to flex him, but I just think it's going to be a different year for the Lions this year. We'll see in week 1, man, and we'll see how it looks right out the gates. This is a big playoff implication game here. Packers side, Matthew Golden is going to be a smash start, especially with Jayden Reed. I'm putting Jayden Reed on a sit. I'm probably not going to feel comfortable starting Jayden Reed all year long with the injury they're talking about, that he needs surgery to be out 6 to 8 months, and he's going to play through it because the Packers have Super Bowl aspirations right now. I get that. Romeo Doubs becomes a flex play if you need as well, because I do not trust Jayden Reed like I just said. And when you're looking at the Packers, last year, Jordan Love went down in Brazil in week 1, right? Played injured all year. Their wide receivers led the NFL in drops. So they go out, they get Matthew Golden, they get Savion Williams. They're showing you they want to pass the ball here. Still have Josh Jacobs. The Packers are going to be very, very scary this year. It's literal Super Bowl or bust now. So for this game, I have Amon-Ra and Matthew Golden as starts, and Jamison Williams and Romeo Doubs as flex if you need. This is going to be an interesting game at SoFi Stadium here. So the Texans are headed in to take on the Rams. They have the over-under 43.5, so lower than most games on the week here. They have the Rams favored by 2.5 here. Now, when you're looking at the Texans here, Joe Mixon on IR, and I've got a lot of updates even before at the Fantasy Football Expo we went out there that Joe Mixon may not be out there healthy all year long. So the Texans' run game, I'm just avoiding in general. I don't trust Nick Chubb. Their offensive line ranks 32nd, dead last in the NFL. It's going to be very tough for them to run the ball. This is going to be a pass-heavy Texans attack that I love this year. Nico Collins, obviously, must-start wide receiver. He proved me wrong last year. I had a couple doubts, and he shut me up even when he got injured. I'm done doubting Nico Collins. Christian Kirk, I firmly believe, is going to be the security blanket. I do not trust Dalton Schultz across the middle as a tight end. Jaden Higgins, the hype is there. I'm an Iowa guy. He's from Iowa State. I hope he gets, a chance to take the number 2 role. I just don't see it happening unless Christian Kirk has an injury or something like that. But CJ Stroud I have as a big bounce back because they're going to be pass heavy all year long. And this is what you have to love here. So Nico Collins should absolutely go nuclear this year. That's why I have him at wide receiver 3 ahead of Justin Jefferson. On to the Rams side, I mean, there's only 2 guys we need to talk about. That's it. I'm not going to put Tutu Atwell. I'm not going to put Kanata Mumfield, any of those guys up here. When Puka Nacua and Devontae Adams are out there, they're the only wide receivers I'm starting from the Rams, and I'm starting them every single week that they're out there. This is going to be a nightmare duel, possibly the best in the NFL behind, you could say Jamar Chase, T. Higgins, they could battle it out. But it is going to come down to Stafford's back. Matt Stafford's older, coming down to the end of his career, age 37 here. Back stiffness the whole time, but the guy's a warrior. I've been saying it, tweeting it everywhere, that he will be fine. This guy will play through it. This is the Rams Super Bowl window right now. This is their team. They're loading up to go. And obviously in this game, I love Nico Collins, Puka Nacua, and Devontae Adams as starts. And Christian Kirk is a possible flex if you need. The game of the week, baby. The NFL just bringing the heat on Sunday Night Football. The Ravens are headed into the Bills for a possible AFC Championship preview game. I cannot wait to see this game. The over-under is at 51.5. They think the points are going to fly. So do I. Whenever you get Josh Allen and Lamar Jackson on the same field, it is just fireworks, baby. Now, Zay Flowers, I'm going to put as a start out here because I think he's going to be a target hog in this game. I think they're going to need to gadget up a couple plays for him here. Rashad Bateman has gotten better and better and better throughout his career, and I really don't like him as a flex play. I like him as a best ball guy mainly, but in this game, with how many points they're going to need to score, this guy could hit a home run play at any time in this game. If you need a deep flex play, this cough has been killing me for like a week and a half. It's insane. Sorry, guys. And the old man, DeAndre Hopkins, the vet they bring in, I'm not going to feel comfortable starting him unless there's any injuries, but he is a nice piece addition for Lamar Jackson. I mean, he's going to be a red zone threat body that could catch a touchdown because Zay Flowers, little gadget guy, Rashad Bateman, DeAndre Hopkins could be their possession red zone guy, so something to look out for there. On to the Bills side, if you've been following my content all year long. Keon Coleman has been my guy. Everyone has started to get on board now. It's been crazy. His ADP has shot up the board. All you got to do is look at him, man. The guy bulked up. He was getting beat man-to-man press coverage last year because he was skinnier frame. Dude, he's bulked up. He looks amazing. The routes are crisper. Look out for Keon Coleman, man. He's been one of my heavy targets this year. Khalil Shakir, I'm going to keep on the bench. And you're going to think I'm crazy for saying that, but Khalil Shakir just came back to practice after missing 3 weeks. It's according to Dr. Jesse on Twitter, shout out to him. Got to meet him at the expo as well. Got to chop it up with him, talk some football. He'll tell you that Khalil Shakir is not going to be fully healthy till week 5, week 6. Now, do I think they're rushing him out there because this is a big, big home field advantage playoff implication game? Yeah, for sure. Of course it is. It's the monster game. I don't think Khalil Shakir is going to be involved as much to be a starter. I don't like Joshua Palmer either. He's more of a best ball guy for me. And Keon Coleman, man, get ready for the explosion, guys. My guy is here. Monday Night Football, the clash of the 2024 rookies. The Minnesota Vikings are headed into Soldier Field to take on the Chicago Bears. The over-under 43.5, so not as high. It's, bottom tier on the week. Minnesota favored by 1.5. Obviously, Justin Jefferson is a must-start every week. Nothing to talk about there, especially with Jordan Addison on a 3-game suspension. But what do? They go out and they get Adam Thielen. And this is that game, man, where I'm telling you, that he's back at home. All the hype is going to be there. Justin Jefferson going to draw the doubles. I feel like Adam Thielen in his first game back in Minnesota being home is just going to have one of those big, big weeks, especially with Addison out. And he's going to probably find the end zone and it's going to be a celebration. You're going to wish you flex played him. I don't trust it at all. This is just a gut call that I have. I think that Thielen's just going to explode in his first game back in Minnesota. And it's just one of those weird feelings I have. Onto the Bears side, and this we need to talk about here. So Ben Johnson, the architect, is here. The offensive guy goes out and beefs up the offensive line. And what do? They don't even address the defense. They go out and they get Colston Lovett and they get Luther Burden. They just add more weapons for Caleb Williams. So this is going to be one of those wide receiver roulette rooms yearly with and Cole Kmet and Colston Lovett at tight end. DeAndre Swift also catches 50-plus passes out the backfield a year. So it's going to be hard to decipher who's going to hit. I know the hype for Rome Odunze has been insane in the offseason. I'm still not buying it. It's the preseason games. It's the offseason. I think DJ Moore is going to be the guy that they gadget. If you line him up at running back as well, I've seen in the offseason as well. I feel like he fits the script more of a Ben Johnson type, Amon-Ra type wide receiver than a big, tall Rome Odunze that Ben Johnson hasn't really had to use yet. So DJ Moore is going to be my start here for the Bears. Rome Odunze is going to be a flex play for me. Obviously, I have him as a higher flex play start than just a flex play. I just don't love him as a full start. And, like I said, it's going to be a nightmare to figure out. And then Luther Burden, man, I've been so high on this guy. Just give him an opportunity, see what happens out there. And I promise he's going to make people pay for not drafting him in the first round like he should have been. I mean, this is going to be 3 straight wide receiver round 1 talents for Caleb Williams. Right? If he does not thrive in this system with Ben Johnson, it's going to be a nightmare for Chicago. But again, in this game, I like Justin Jefferson, DJ Moore starts. Adam Thielen, I have a gut feeling he's going for a boom game in this first game back in Minnesota. And Rome Odunze is a higher flex play for me if you need. And then Addison's obviously suspended and Burden is out. Thank you guys for rocking with me today. That is the end of the episode. My stardom, sit-em wide receivers for every single matchup. As always, guys, on your way out, make sure you tap that thumbs up, hit that subscription. Helps me out a ton. Make sure you check out the Guys FF Discord. It'll be in the description and pinned in the comments as well. And if you guys haven't signed up on Drafters, as always, make sure you sign up using promo code SLEEZ. All the support's appreciated there as well. My next video is going to be my tight end stardom sit-ems, and then I'm going to dive into all my rankings, quarterbacks, running backs, wide receivers, tight ends, smash starts, sleeper plays, return on investment plays. I'm going to try and get all of this content out to you yearly before the Thursday kickoff. That is my goal this year, so you guys have everything from me you need to dominate each week in fantasy football. That's it for me, man. Thank you guys for listening. I'll catch you guys in the next one. Sleazebomb out.